Hey you, lonely guy looking at this screen. You want to see some people in love? Here are 10 new romance anime of 2024 you must watch. Let's go!
We start our list of the best romance animes of 2024 at number 10 with The Demon Prince of Momochi House. On her 16th birthday, Himari inherits a house from her deceased parents, which she plans to make full use of despite rumors that it might be cursed. Once there, Himari finds 3 unwanted male guests who refuse to leave. Before long, the young protagonist learns there is a good reason her new home is thought to be haunted. The Demon Prince of Momochi House leans quite heavily into comedy and some action, especially during the first few episodes, while a romance between Himari and Ate bubbles in the background. The manga is generally a fun read, and the anime is decent but suffers from a slow start that might put off viewers. However, this show will make you fall in love with the characters. Next on our list, we have Seventh Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life, married to her worst enemy. Villainous anime have become commonplace, and while most fall within Isekai territory, exceptions exist. Fall 2023's Tear Moon Empire was one such example, and Seventh Time Loop was another. Riche has died 6 times already, reincarnating on the day she was dumped by her fiancé. Unfortunately, she always seems to meet a gruesome end after a while, despite her efforts to change her fate. Determined to make the next one count, she sets out to stop the start of a war that always breaks out, a process that involves getting to know Prince Arnold. Seventh Time Loop offers mystery, comedy, drama, and heart-pounding romance. Riche is the star of the story here, and her chemistry with Arnold is fantastic. While villainous stories are starting to become inescapable, this anime is one of the theme's better examples. For newcomers who are not that familiar with this theme. However, the show is a pretty charming romance that even subverts some BL tropes. Powered by his virginity, Adachi develops the ability to read people's minds, which quickly exposes that his popular work college, Kurosawa, has a thing for him. As he does not identify as gay, Adachi is not quite sure how to process this information, and he goes on a journey of self-discovery as he slowly realizes that he would rather get to know Kurosawa better than keep him at a distance. While the core idea sounds a bit silly, Cherry Magic uses Adachi's ability to break down Kurosawa's actions, showing that this seemingly confident character is rife with insecurity and doubt. Tales of Wedding Rings is an isekai story that blends action, fantasy, romance, and harem elements. Debuting in 2014 and producing more than 70 chapters up to this point, the source material is reasonably successful and has a cult following. Sata loves Haim, a girl he has known for years. Therefore, he naturally follows her to another world when she slips through a portal. Once there, he learns that his friend is the princess of another world and is set to marry the next king. However, this can change depending on who possesses her ring, and Haim, or Crystal, is not the only princess with jewelry to hand out. As far as harem eki isekai anime are concerned, Tales of Wedding Rings can be enjoyable if someone goes in with relatively low expectations. Even though the whole story revolves around the male lead developing a harem, Crystal is 100% presented as Sata's main love interest. However, the story's genre blend means that she often takes a backseat. Like any genre, romance tends to revisit a few basic concepts. Manga and anime love to throw an average guy with his quirky girl who might have an element of mystery to them. Studio apartment, good lighting, Angel included does not hide its selling point. The male lead suddenly finds himself living with a spiritual being. Good-natured but unaccustomed to the ways of humankind, Tawa, the eponymous angel, is inexperienced but also very willing to learn. Fortunately, Shintaro is more than ready to help his new roommate out. Studio apartment, good lighting, Angel included is a likable fluff. The characters are inoffensive and pleasant, without necessarily being that interesting. This anime offers a fine way to spend 20 minutes per week, especially if someone enjoys their romances to come with a healthy dose of harem and comedy tropes.
そういう意味じゃなくて。
てか、どこから入ったの？
ちょっと寄り道しようか。
いただきます。
On the number 2 slot we cannot miss, to have the show, A Condition Called Love. A Condition Called Love seemed destined for an adaptation as the manga is more than popular enough to justify it. This series is one of the more interesting romance anime of 2024, but viewers should be warned that the story is not 100% wholesome all the time. Hataru has very little interest in romance, but she decides to accept Hananoi's request for a date when he asks her out in public. While they make for a relatively cute couple, Hananoi is also fairly intense, to the point of bordering on obsession and unhealthy behavior.
分かってるんだ。まだ何が起こったわけでもないって。もしいつか僕みたいなやつじゃなくて、もっとまともで。
Although calling out the male protagonist's conduct at times, it is a slow process. Consequently, a condition called love might leave a rather sour taste in a viewer's mouth. Hananoi can be controlling and invasive of Hataru's space, creating an uncomfortable dynamic that is difficult to support.
なんだ、花野井くんがそう思わせてくれたんだよ。
僕が一番。
大丈夫ですか？こんなに美味しい朝ごはんが食べられるなら毎日が幸せですね。
An anime original, Astro Note is a wacky comedy with a romantic edge. After being let go from his chef job, Takumi is offered a new position as a live-in cook at a boarding house, which he only accepts because he has a crush on the residence's caretaker, Mira. Unbeknownst to the love-struck guy, she also happens to be an alien.
無職って暇なんでしょ？早く働かないとこうなるよ。
寿司金入りの無職だからね。
ずっとあなたを見ていた。
私エゴサの鬼だからどんな書き込みでも見つけるから分かった。
Astro Note's director, Shinji Takamatsu, is experienced in comedy, working on classics like Gintama, School Rumble, and Grand Blue. That resume shines through the spring 2024 series, with the humor being aggressive, energetic, and potentially polarizing. The romance mostly takes a backseat, being used as a plot point rather than anything substantial.
本当は犬じゃないだろ。お弁当。
トンビ？
席中代。逃がすな。
こいつはやばい。やあ、君たちもデート？もう？聞いてないぜ。くそ。